Hi, I'm Andrew Rodriguez, and welcome to PsychoBible, babbling about psychology and theology. Guys, the sexual revolution, they're not quitting, and neither do we. We need to keep at it with defending just sanity, the sexual sanity that God has given to us to protect, to hold sacred. Uh, there's a lot of stuff going on right now. I'm probably going to do a few videos in the next few weeks about some of the latest news in the world of sexual insanity. We had the San Francisco Gay Men's Choir release their video about how they're going to convert our children. And then they tried to say, no, it's just tongue in cheek. You all are taking it too serious. We're not coming for your kids in a predatory way. But they said the silent part out loud. So I'm going to have to do a video on that soon. I just didn't want to contribute to all the noise. There's a lot of people talking about it. And so I do, of course, I have my own take. But, that's really not the most important thing I'm worried about. Some gay chorus just boasting about how they're winning this culture war and how they're indoctrinating our children. That's fluff right now. The main thing is the existential threat to people who are trying to leave the LGBT identity, lifestyles, attractions, behaviors. They are being threatened more and more. And Christians, so-called conservatives, the useless Republican Party are just caught unawares. And they have no backbone, and they're just letting the radical agenda take more and more ground. And we've got a bunch of limp-wristed and weak-willed and cowardly Christians who are just saying, peace, peace. They're saying that we shouldn't stand up and fight for what's right because they're more scared about offending people. Meanwhile, children are being corrupted. Rights of people with unwanted attractions and sexual identities and gender identities are being taken away, and they're being forced to adhere to only one type of ideology. And this is why I make sure in my channel I intersperse my commentary on different aspects of the culture war and psychology and theology with this topic, because this relates to so much of what we're dealing with right now. You need to understand what's going on. So I also want to use this video to promote a film that can help educate you, equip your church, your loved ones, for how to address the issue of homosexuality and transgenderism. In fact, just to address gender and sexuality and marriage itself. That is In His Image. This documentary is amazing. I was blessed with a 5 DVD combo. I was a winner of a contest they did, and so I want to pay it forward. So I'm using my channel today to do a giveaway. I want to bless you, and so stay tuned to the end of this video, and I'll show you how you can get a copy of this DVD. But first, let me just do a quick rundown of how dire things are right now. Okay, Bill C6 in Canada, which I've done a prior video about, is either just passing or about to pass. It's just done what their final revisions are going through right now. And the LGBT is all up in arms because 63 different conservatives, or 62 and one independent, voted against it. Now this is in Canada, okay, so maybe it doesn't affect the US, so we can just keep our head in the sand about this one. But the language in this bill is not very different to other legislation that has been in committee or that they're trying to get passed in other places here in the US or nationwide. It's just a matter of time. So let's read this. Okay, this just passed a third reading on June 22nd, 2021. Bill C6 in the House of Commons of Canada, an act to amend the criminal code to outlaw conversion therapy. Well, first, let's go to what they define as conversion therapy, and then we'll look at what it is they're actually going to do with this bill. Their definition of conversion therapy is any practice, treatment, or service designed to change a person's sexual orientation to heterosexual, to change a person's gender identity or gender expression to cisgender, or to repress or reduce non-heterosexual attraction or sexual behavior or non-cisgender gender expression. For greater certainty, this definition does not include a practice, treatment, or service that relates to the exploration and development of an integrated personal identity without favoring any particular sexual orientation, gender identity, or gender expression. So what they're saying is you can use a neutral approach if you're just helping the person become more whole, but if your services are in any way designed to change someone's sexual orientation, which they are not defining here, but I'm assuming it just means whatever your identity is based on your more pervasive sexual attractions and desires. Okay, that's kind of a layperson's definition of sexual orientation. Okay, I can really pick that apart because the term lacks consensus and a solid definition, but we'll put that to the side for the moment. All right, if any aspect of your treatment that you're providing is designed to change a person's sexual orientation to heterosexual, okay, notice that. What if there's a treatment someone's offering to change someone's attractions toward homosexual? Maybe to someone who is like bisexual, but they're like, no, I really want to increase my homosexual attractions. In a hypothetical world, let's imagine that that's the case. No, that would be allowed. You see, you can provide therapy that influences someone in one type of sexual orientation, but not heterosexual. Not the one that is actually most in line with biological reality, with normativity, not according to your actual biological function. You cannot provide any therapy that actually helps encourage you to function according to your biological design. The very thing that helps hold up all of civilization is a man and a woman in marriage having children and raising them to do the same. That is not allowed. To encourage someone in therapy to identify with their own sex, to come out cisgender in some way, that is their version, their definition of conversion therapy. The irony of this, given the San Francisco Gay Men's Chorus singing, we'll convert your children. Okay, they're allowed to convert, but no, how dare you try to change someone willingly, looking for help in aligning their attractions and their identity and behavior with their own biological reality of male or female and functioning according to that design. Okay, this is a travesty that they're using conversion therapy in this way, this definition. And with that definition, Bill C6 will create the following offenses. A, causing a person to undergo conversion therapy without the person's consent. Right there, cool. There's not a therapist in my field who would be against that. We would say, yeah, no therapy should be coerced or used in some way that was deceptive. Everyone should be fully informed. That's just basic therapy. You always have informed consent. This is not even necessary. You already aren't allowed to undergo therapy in a way that does not include informed consent. So we all agree upon that. It's already outlawed. At least I imagine it is in Canada as well. You can't coerce people to enter therapy. They need to know what they're doing. Okay? So it's redundant. But they word it this way to make it sound like this is a problem that's happening. Is it? Especially in Canada, who's so much more liberal than the US. All right. B, causing a child to undergo conversion therapy. Listen to the way they word this. Undergo, as if it's something being inflicted upon them. If you look at the propaganda, the way they refer to therapists in this field is that they are perpetrators, not actually mental health providers or counselors. And as if the child is, well, what if you're 17? Okay, you're not an adult yet, technically. Okay, they treat you like you have no say in this at all. What if there's a teenager who actually wants therapy to maybe detransition or to work on desisting from a transgender identity or work through their gender dysphoria? Or, you know what, sometimes this happens. You get someone, a child, a minor, a teenager, who's been molested or raped, and they're conflicted now with these unwanted same-sex desires that they didn't have before the molestation, before the sexual assault. And they want therapy to help heal the woundedness from that assault, from that molestation, with the understanding that that may change their sexual desires and attractions. This would be outlawed. What about just kids who, for various other reasons, have unwanted same-sex attraction? They may desire therapy for that as a minor. But no, this is prohibiting them from getting therapy that the child or adolescent may actually want themselves. Now, should therapy be imposed on a child who doesn't want it? No. The therapists I know in this field, if they get some parent bring their child to them, and they get the sense that child really doesn't want this, they're not going to do much. They're going to maybe talk to the family and encourage them to develop better bonds as a family, but they're not going to force anything on that child. This is just basic therapy. C, it would outlaw doing anything for the purpose of removing a child from Canada with the intention of the child undergoing conversion therapy outside Canada. So, if they outlaw this in Canada, you cannot take your child out of the country to get therapy somewhere else. Look at the amount of control that they are enacting. This is not a free country if they pass this law. D, promoting or advertising an offer to provide conversion therapy. Now notice this is not based on whether you're advertising for adults or minors. It's just advertising or promoting conversion therapy, period. So it's one thing if they're going to pass a ban, which most states in the U.S. that have passed therapy bans limited it to minors. This bill in Canada may say, no, you cannot offer therapy for minors, but you can't advertise conversion therapy for anyone. Okay, so that would be a criminal offense. Does no one else get a bit alarmed by how extremely they're trying to stop people from having access to counseling that fits their own values? And then finally, this would outlaw receiving a financial or other material benefit from the provision of conversion therapy. So essentially, it would just ban it outright in any way. The only way you could help someone's area is if you were doing it pro bono. But you couldn't advertise that you're doing it or offering it, and you still can't offer it for a minor. So only for adults and only if it's for free. Okay. This is almost no different than what they tried to pass in California in 2018, AB 2943, that would treat counseling for this issue as like a fraudulent practice. So you couldn't advertise it and you couldn't benefit from it. You couldn't actually get paid for services. So that's coming in Canada. I know ministries in Canada that their lawyers are telling them you got to shut down. There's no way they can operate now. They're going to have to go underground in some way. I can't imagine that. Think about this. Really think about this. A free country. And this is the way they're treating people. No other mental health issue is treated this way, where there's only one ideology allowed. Next up, Just this week, they released a trailer for a Netflix documentary called Pray Away. Pray away what? Obviously, we know what this is referring to. This mantra of pray the gay away that no one in this field actually uses, but this is one of the straw man arguments that they use. I address this in my conversion therapy myths and misunderstandings playlist. Please check out that playlist if you want to actually be well informed. And this trailer is just so sensationalized, using this music and the clips to, and of course it's old clips. This is from people who were in Exodus from the early days in the 70s and maybe the 80s, and who've left it, and then you get some recent people who've defected from the movement, and it's giving such a one-sided perspective. There's a couple clips in there from people from the Freedom March movement, but aside from that, they're just presenting the most biased sample of people who've left the ex-gay movement. They're not including people who've persisted and persevered and flourished after they've left LGBT. No. They're just going to show the worst of the worst. And it's got a clear agenda. The irony of releasing this trailer after the San Francisco Gay Men's Chorus fiasco, where you're going to try to make it sound like conversion therapists are such a threat when you've got the Gay Men's Chorus saying they're coming for your children. They're going to indoctrinate your children. Give me a break. Also, just recently, I'm not sure exactly when it happened, but YouTube went and started censoring Brothers Road, their channel Brothers on a Road Less Traveled. Now, Brothers Road is the organization that runs the Journey into Manhood workshops, because they're considered conversion therapy, these retreats that they do for men who want to grow in their masculinity. It's not even explicitly for homosexuality. This is for guys who are dealing with maybe some gender inferiority issues, same-sex attraction, but also just deficiencies in their sense of masculinity and trouble connecting with other men. They'll go on these retreats, and it is a powerful encounter experience. The men's retreat movement and has been growing in popularity actually in recent years, and Journey into Manhood is one of those programs that's been around quite a while. And they've had a bunch of videos of testimonials. YouTube just wiped out, deleted all but 2 videos on their channel. So the censorship is ramping up. What can you do? Okay? I don't know how long I'm going to be able to stay on this platform. Or any platform. I'm on Facebook, I'm on YouTube, I'm on Locals, and so what you can do is follow me on all the different platforms I'm on. Odyssey, Locals, Gab, Facebook. In case I get booed off one, you can pay attention. Join my email list. I don't send out many emails. So far I haven't sent out any. Okay? It's just as a backup in case I get booted. So you can email me at mr.andrew.rod@protonmail.com. Okay? I also have a Gmail account, but I'm not going to use that one because in case I get booted off Gmail and Google services in general, I'll lose that. So Proton Mail is censorship free. It's secure. You can contact me on there. I'll put you on my list. And just in case I ever get the boot, I can let you guys know where else you can find me. Okay? Join my Locals. They say they're going to be censorship free, and you don't even have to pay to join my channel there. Alright? Do the same for other content creators, other ministries, personalities that you follow in this area. Find out where else they're at, because you never know when they might get banned, unpersoned. Okay? There is a very aggressive agenda to silence any sort of dissension when it comes to the LGBT agenda. So we need to be vigilant. We need to be supporting each other. And that's why I want to give away a copy of In His Image. Okay? This is award-winning, just won the International Christian Visual Media Crown Awards for Best Evangelical Film. It is amazing. They do a very thorough job. They include testimonies from real people who have went through counseling for unwanted same-sex attraction, for transgender issues. So you've got real-life stories in there, as well as good theology from people like Dr. Michael Brown, Sean McDowell, Dr. Robert Gagnon. You get Kevin DeYoung, a couple others. They're just excellent. I'm sorry, I can't think of all their names right now. Everyone in there was excellent. So they don't just address homosexuality and transgenderism. They get right to the core of what it means to be made in his image. As people made in his image, male and female. That's why they named it in his image. There's something important about our maleness and femaleness that's related to being made in the image of God. And that's what I talk about all the time in my videos when I'm talking about theology of the body. It's our bodies made male and female, and the call to become one flesh in marriage, in marital union. That is a reflection of who God is and who we are, who we're called to be as the bride of Christ, that we're meant to enter into and participate in the divine life, in the community of the Trinity. So our bodies have a purpose. They have a very sacred and profound symbolic meaning. And the sexual revolution, not just homosexuality and transgenderism, but the sexual revolution as a whole, has been eroding our ability to see that meaning, to understand it. And therefore, with that meaning lost, we fall prey to all sorts of sexual sin, sexual brokenness, just being lost in understanding who we are. So a documentary like this gets at the core of what it means to be human. So don't just take my word for it. Let's watch the trailer so you can see what I'm talking about.
It was a summer day. My dad walked in the door and he said, "Denise, I want to become a woman."
I went through a brutal time of sexual distortion, molestation, led me into a lifestyle of being gay identified for 8 years.
I struggled with my identity all the way through my life. Lived 8 years as Laura Jensen until I found the Lord Jesus Christ.
The issues are unavoidable. They're on the news.
The White House in rainbow colors.
They're in our legislation.
The Texas bathroom bill.
In our schools.
Drag queen story out.
Our entertainment, our social media. They're even reaching into our churches.
Let us be the church together.
We're not just talking about issues, we're talking about people.
Began injecting myself with massive doses of testosterone.
Right here is the needle. The needle's about this big.
15 months on hormone blockers.
Maybe another month of hormones. There was always this elusive happiness, but I never quite got there.
And you began to realize that maybe this didn't fix what you needed to fix.
We are taking biologically healthy young children and putting them at risk.
Every church in America is facing this.
Love and acceptance and inclusion.
They are legally married.
As Christians, we can't sit this one out. Neither can we straddle the fence or just leave it to the experts. Every believer has to discover the truth, and that starts by digging into the scriptures.
Many people now say that my experience trumps scripture.
Can we change God's words? We don't have the luxury to edit what God has said.
Being created in God's image means that God's fingerprints are all over us.
The man and the woman are created each for each other. There is a fittedness. That's the language.
If Jesus Christ becomes your Lord, He is the one who is to identify who you are.
I left my partner, I left my job, I left my entire identity behind. And it was the hardest thing I've ever done.
Is it really possible that I can experience change?
The fact that there's a struggle doesn't mean that you're on the wrong path. Obeying God is a struggle. Holiness is a struggle.
There is hope for you. God loves you, and you are made in the image of God.
I felt like light was bursting forth from me, and I knew I was completely changed.
So I want to bless you with this DVD. So here's what you got to do. So if you're watching this on YouTube or on Facebook or anything else, like the video, like the post, and then I want you to comment how you're going to use this DVD yourself. Okay, I don't want you to keep it to yourself. Educate yourself, sure, but then use that information. So how are you going to use what you may learn from here? Who are you going to bless? How are you going to commit to equipping others, to spreading the good news of the gospel? The gospel is the redemption of who we are as humans, of redeeming our sexuality and restoring our vision for who we actually are. Okay, that's the gospel. So a documentary like this is the good news. How are you going to use that? So that's what I ask you to do. Like the video, like the post, and then comment. How are you going to use this information? If it's just for yourself, awesome. But I really want to hear more about how you're going to use it, not just for you, but to spread this good news. And then I'll pick some winners out of that. Okay? I'll pay the shipping. I'll contact you, and then you get in touch with me, and I'll get your information to send you this DVD. All right? I just want to equip you. Now, you can watch the whole documentary on YouTube right now. The American Family Association, who produced this, they have the entire documentary right now on YouTube. Okay, so you can watch it, you can get the information right now. At least for now. Until YouTube starts censoring it more and they remove it from their platform. That might happen. Okay? So it would be a good idea to get a copy. And you can purchase the copies from their website in his image.movie. So yeah, you can get copies yourself, but hey, get a free one. Alright? But the cool thing with having a DVD is if you want to share it with others, they'll be more likely to sit down and watch it with you if you like, hey, let's plug this in and watch this. They're not as likely to sit down and watch it with you if you're like, oh, hey, want to watch this hour and a half YouTube video? Okay? You can get more of an audience when you make it sound like a big deal. I got a DVD. Okay, it's been produced. It was funded. It was it had a director. It had good editing. It's not just someone doing a YouTube video. All right, so I really want to promote this. Get the facts. Get biblical truth. Okay? And share it with others. All right, so that's my challenge to you now. I'll see you in the comments section. Until next time, God bless.